The dining room of my parents' grand estate shimmered with candlelight on June 14, 2025, as I, Olivia Grant, stood by a table laden with crystal and silver, forcing a smile for my niece Lily's high school graduation dinner. At 29, I'd forged a career as an environmental consultant in the city, my life a careful balance of ambition and distance from my family's tangled ties. Tonight was meant to celebrate Lily's milestone and mend old rifts. My sister, Natalie, Lily's mother, adjusted place settings with nervous precision, while her husband, Tom, poured wine for guests. My parents, William and Margaret, presided over the gathering, their pride in Lily evident, but a subtle tension, William's guarded glances and Natalie's fidgeting, set my nerves on edge. Lily, glowing in a sapphire dress, greeted guests with a radiant smile, her acceptance to a top university the talk of the evening. I handed her a gift card for her dorm, her hug warm with gratitude, and chatted with Tom, his quiet humor a steady presence. My brother, Philip, lingered near the bar, his usual wit subdued, his eyes darting to our father. The estate, a colonial mansion with sprawling lawns, held memories of my childhood, games in the gardens, evenings by the fireplace, but also shadows of unresolved promises. My grandfather's will, finalized 5 years ago after his death, had named me, Natalie, and Philip as equal heirs to his trust fund, a third each, locked until Lily turned 18. William, as executor, had grown evasive about the details, brushing off my questions, and tonight's undercurrent of unease sharpened my suspicion. The dinner unfolded with warmth, guests, cousins, aunts, and family friends, toasting Lily's future over plates of grilled salmon and summer greens. I sat beside Lily, trying to focus on her excitement, but Natalie's strained smiles and Philip's silence gnawed at me. As dessert arrived, lavender macarons and espresso, William stood, his wineglass raised, his voice carrying the room. To Lily, he said, his tone rich with pride, our shining star, ready to light up the world. The guests cheered, but my stomach tightened as he reached into his jacket, pulling out an envelope adorned with the family crest. He handed it to Lily, his smile wide but his eyes avoiding mine. "This is yours," he said. "Your great-grandfather's inheritance letter, to launch your journey." Lily's hands trembled as she opened it, her voice soft as she read. "To Lily, my great-granddaughter, I bequeath 1/3 of my trust, for your education and future, effective on your 18th birthday." The room erupted in applause, but I froze, my glass slipping, wine splashing the tablecloth. 1/3? That was my share, promised in the will I'd reviewed years ago. Natalie clapped, her eyes bright but uneasy, while Philip stared at his plate, his jaw tight. Margaret looked down, her fingers twisting her napkin. I stood, my voice cutting through the noise.
"Dad, what is this?" "That's my inheritance."
The will named me, Natalie, and Philip, not Lily. The room hushed, guests exchanging awkward glances. William's face hardened, his hand gripping the chair. "Olivia, sit down. We'll discuss this privately."
"No, Isaid, my Angerriesing."
"You gave my share to Lily?"
"Without telling me."
Natalie stepped forward, her voice sharp. "It's for her college, Olivia. You're doing fine, you don't need it." "Need it?" I said, turning to her. "It's mine, Natalie. You knew about this." Lily clutched the letter, tears welling. "Aunt Olivia, I had no idea," she said, her voice breaking. Tom put a hand on her shoulder, his face tense. Philip finally spoke, his voice low. "It's true. Dad told me last month. The trust was changed."
"The betrayal stung like a blade."
William, the man I trusted to honor my grandfather's wishes, had rewritten my future. Natalie's complicity and Philip's silence deepened the wound. "When?" I demanded, facing my father. "When did you change it?" He sighed, his tone cold. "Last year. It's what's best for the family. Lily's starting out, she needs it more." "Best for who?" I said, my voice trembling.
"You stole from me."
Guests began slipping out, murmuring excuses. Lily pushed the letter away, sobbing, as Tom tried to calm her. Margaret reached for me, but I stepped back. "I want the original will," I said. "And I want to know why."
Williams Eisnerot. Jure causing a Szene.
"We'll talk tomorrow." I'm not waiting, I said, my hands shaking as I grabbed my purse. You don't get to dismiss this. I stormed to the study, Natalie trailing, her voice pleading. Olivia, it's for Lily's future. Don't make this ugly. Ugly. I snapped, spinning to face her. You and Dad planned this behind my back. Why? She looked away, guilt flickering. Philip followed, his voice quiet. I didn't want this, but Dad said it was done. I should have told you. The study, lined with my grandfather's old books, felt suffocating. I demanded the will, but William stood firm, locking the safe. Enough, he said, brushing past. This discussion is over. Natalie fled to Lily, and Philip lingered, his apology weak.
I stot alone, my anger simmering, the letters words echoing.
The dinner, meant to celebrate Lily, had unveiled a theft, my inheritance, redirected by my own family. I needed answers, and I'd start digging, no matter who stood in my way. The morning after Lily's graduation dinner, June 15, 2025, I woke with a fire in my chest. The image of my father handing Lily my inheritance letter burned into my mind. The betrayal, William redirecting my share of our grandfather's trust to my niece, with Natalie's complicity and Philip's silence, left me reeling. I sat at my apartment's kitchen table, coffee untouched, replaying the dinner's chaos, Lily's tears, Natalie's deflections, and William's cold dismissal. As an environmental consultant, I thrived on facts, and I needed them now to unravel why my family had cut me out. I called my friend Jenna, a paralegal with a knack for navigating legal mazes, to help me dig. Jenna arrived by 9 a.m., her laptop and a notepad in hand. Okay, Olivia, she said, settling on my couch, tell me everything. What's this about an inheritance? I laid out the dinner, William's toast, the letter giving Lily my third of the trust, and the revelation that he'd altered the will last year without telling me. The trust was split 3 ways. Me, Natalie, and Philip, I said, pacing. Grandfather's will was clear, but William's the executor. He changed it, and Natalie knew. Philip found out a month ago and said nothing. Jenna's eyes narrowed as she opened her laptop. If he altered the will, there's a paper trail, amendments, lawyer signatures, bank records. We need the original will and any revisions. Who's the estate lawyer? Henry Walsh, I said, recalling the name from years ago. He handled grandfather's estate. Williams worked with him forever. Jenna nodded, typing. We'll start with Walsh. If the will was changed, he'd have drafted it. We also need to check the trust's financials, where the money's held, how it was moved to Lily. I hesitated, the weight of confronting my family settling in. Natalie said it's for Lily's college, but it's my share.
VHY hide it.
Could be favoritism, Jenna said, or something deeper. Control, maybe a deal between William and Natalie.
Let's call Walsh, set a meeting. Ideal at Walsh's office, my hands shaking.
His secretary scheduled us for tomorrow, June 16th, at 10 a.m. Next, I texted Natalie, demanding to talk today. Her reply was quick. Come to my house, noon.
Lily's here.
We'll explain. Philip texted too, his message curt. I'm sorry I didn't tell you.
Meet Emil after Natalie?
2 p.m., my place. At noon, I arrived at Natalie's suburban home, its tidy lawn a stark contrast to the storm inside me. Lily answered the door, her face pale, her graduation dress replaced by a hoodie. Aunt Olivia, she said, her voice small, I didn't know about the letter.
I never take your money.
I softened, hugging her. I know, Lily. This isn't on you. Natalie appeared, her eyes red, and led me to the living room. Tom was out, giving us space. Olivia, Natalie said, sitting, I'm sorry you found out like that. Dad thought it was best for Lily, her tuition, her future. Best. I said, my voice sharp, sitting across from her.
You stole my inheritance.
Why wasn't I told? She fidgeted, avoiding my gaze. Dad said you're doing well, your career, your savings. Lily's just starting. We didn't think you'd mind. Mind? I said, leaning forward.
It's my share, Natalie.
Grandfather named me. When did you know about this? She hesitated, her hands twisting.
Last summer, July 2024.
Dad called me, said he was redirecting your share to Lily. I agreed.
She's my Daukarte.
Her admission hit like a punch. You agreed to cut me out?
Vi tut avhørt.
Lily spoke up, her voice trembling. Mom, why didn't you tell Aunt Olivia? It's not fair. Natalie's eyes filled with tears. I thought it was settled. Dad handled it with Walsh. I didn't think it'd hurt you.
I stot, my anger boiling. I nitse original will, Natalie. End the amendment.
Where are they? Dad has them, she said, wiping her eyes. At the estate, in his safe. He said it's legal.
I left, my mind racing.
Natalie's guilt was clear, but William's control was the root. At 2 p.m., I met Philip at his downtown loft, its bare walls matching his guarded demeanor. He poured coffee, his hands unsteady. I should have warned you, he said, sitting across from me. Dad told me last month, said it was for Lily's future. I argued, but he shut me down. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice low. You let me walk into that dinner blind. He looked away, guilt etched on his face. I was scared.
That's intense.
He said it was done, legal, and I'd regret fighting it. I thought you'd find out eventually. Eventually? I said, my voice rising. He gave away my future, Philip.
What else do you know?
He hesitated, then pulled a folder from his desk. I found this in Dad's office last week. Bank records, trust transfers. Your share, $400,000, was moved to a new account for Lily in August 2024. I copied it before he noticed.
I scanned the records, my heart sinking.
The transfer was signed by William and Walsh, redirecting my third to a trust in Lily's name. This is fraud, I said, my voice trembling. Grandfather's will didn't allow this. Philip nodded, his jaw tight. I know. I didn't know how to stop it. Dad's got Walsh wrapped around his finger. I took the copies, my resolve hardening. I'm seeing Walsh tomorrow.
Come with me.
We're getting answers. He agreed, his eyes meeting mine, a flicker of solidarity. Back home, I called Jenna, sending her the bank records. These prove the transfer, I said. Can you dig into Walsh? If he's complicit, we need to know. On it, she said. I'll check his firm's filings, see if there's a pattern. If William pressured him, there'll be cracks. That evening, my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Drop this, Olivia. You're only hurting Lily.
My blood ran cold. William?
Natalie?
Someone else?
I forwarded it to Jenna, who urged me to keep it for evidence. The dinner's betrayal had exposed a conspiracy, and I was diving deeper, determined to uncover William's motives and reclaim what was mine. Tomorrow's meeting with Walsh would be my next step, and I'd face it armed with proof and fury. The office of Henry Walsh, our family's estate lawyer, was a sterile space of glass and leather on June 16, 2025, its downtown view a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. The bank records Philip shared yesterday, showing my third of our grandfather's trust redirected to Lily, confirmed my father's betrayal, with Natalie's complicity and Walsh's signature sealing the fraud. The threatening text from last night, "Drop this, Olivia," only fueled my resolve to uncover why William had rewritten my inheritance. Philip stood beside me, his face tense, as we waited for Walsh, ready to demand the original will and expose the truth behind Lily's graduation dinner. Walsh, a balding man with wire-rimmed glasses, greeted us with a practiced smile that faltered when he saw our expressions. "Olivia, Philip," he said, gesturing to chairs. "I wasn't expecting both of you. What's this about?" I placed the bank records on his desk, my voice steady. "These show my share of grandfather's trust, $400,000, transferred to Lily last August. The will named me, Natalie, and Philip, not Lily. You signed off on it. Explain." Walsh's eyes widened, his hands pausing over the folder. "This must be a misunderstanding," he stammered, flipping through the records. "Your father, as executor, requested the change. It was for Lily's education, perfectly legal." "Legal?" Philip said, leaning forward, his voice sharp. Grandfather's will was clear, equal shares for us three. You let William rewrite it without telling Olivia. Walsh adjusted his glasses, sweat beading on his brow. The trust allowed amendments for family benefit. William said it was unanimous, that you all agreed Lily needed it more. Unanimous. I said, my anger rising. I was never told. You didn't verify with me. That's fraud. He shifted, his voice low.
I trusted William.
He said you were consulted. I drafted the amendment based on his instructions, filed it last July. The funds moved to a trust for Lily. I pulled out my phone, showing the threatening text. Someone's trying to shut me up.
Was it you?
Or William?
Walsh's face paled.
I don't know about that. I just handled the paperwork. Your father was insistent. Philip snorted.
Insistent?
Or paying you off? Walsh bristled, his voice defensive. I've served your family for decades. I followed William's directive. If there's an issue, take it up with him. I demanded the original will and the amendment. Walsh hesitated, then retrieved a file from his cabinet, handing over copies. The 2020 will confirmed equal shares for me, Natalie, and Philip, with no mention of Lily. The 2024 amendment, signed by William and Walsh, redirected my share to a trust for Lily, citing family priorities. My stomach churned. William had orchestrated this, and Walsh had enabled it. These are copies, I said, my voice cold. I want the originals, and I want your correspondence with William. Walsh shook his head. Originals are with your father. Emails are privileged, but
Il pull wat I ken. Give MLAD.
We left, the documents heavy in my bag. In the car, Philip gripped the wheel, his jaw tight. He's lying, or he's spineless. Dad pressured him, and he folded. I nodded, my mind racing. We need those emails. And we need to confront William, get the originals. Back at my apartment, I called Jenna, sending her the will and amendment. Walsh is covering, I said. Can you dig into his firm? Financials, anything tying him to William? Already on it, Jenna said. I found a public filing. Walsh's firm got a $20,000 payment from your father's company in August 2024, right after the amendment. Could be a coincidence, but smells like a bribe.
My blood ran cold. A bribe to rewrite my future?
I texted Natalie, demanding she meet me tomorrow, June 17th, with any documents she had. Her reply was curt, I don't have anything. Talk to Dad. Philip agreed to join me at the estate to confront William, who dodged my calls since the dinner. That afternoon, I visited Lily at her part-time job, a bookstore near her house. She was shelving novels, her face drawn. Aunt Olivia, she said, setting a book down, I feel awful. I didn't ask for the money. I'll give it back. I hugged her, my heart softening. It's not your fault. Your mom and grandfather did this. Do you know anything about why? She shook her head, her voice small. Mom's been stressed about my tuition. Grandfather kept saying he'd handle it. I thought it was a loan or something. Her innocence was clear, but Natalie's role wasn't. I left, my resolve firm. That evening, Jenna called with a lead. Walsh's emails are encrypted, but I got a contact, a former paralegal, Nora, who left his firm last year. She says Walsh has a history of bending rules for big clients like your father. She's willing to talk, tomorrow at noon. I thanked her, my mind spinning. Nora could expose Walsh's complicity, but William was the key. His control over the trust, his secrecy, and that threatening text pointed to a deeper motive, favoritism, manipulation, or something worse. I called Philip, confirming our plan to confront William tomorrow evening at the estate. Bring the records, I said. We're not leaving without answers. As I lay awake, the amendment's words, family priorities, mocked me. The dinner had exposed William's betrayal, but the why eluded me. Was he favoring Lily to secure Natalie's loyalty? Or hiding something bigger? Another text buzzed from the unknown number. You're digging too deep. Stop now.
I forwarded it to Jenna, my anger outviking fear.
The graduation toast had sparked this fight, and I'd chase every lead, Walsh, Nora, William, to uncover the truth behind my stolen inheritance. The morning sun filtered through my apartment window on June 17, 2025, as I prepared to meet Nora, the former paralegal who'd promised insight into Henry Walsh's dealings with my father. The confrontation with Walsh yesterday had confirmed his role in redirecting my inheritance to Lily, his signature on the fraudulent 2024 amendment a damning link to William's scheme. The threatening texts, "You're digging too deep," and the $20,000 payment to Walsh's firm hinted at a deeper conspiracy, possibly a bribe. With Philip's bank records and Jenna's leads, I was closing in on the truth, but William's silence and Natalie's evasions kept the stakes high. Today, I'd press Nora for details and confront my father at the estate, determined to unravel why my share was stolen. I met Jenna at a downtown cafe at noon, where Nora waited, a sharp woman with a no-nonsense air. She sipped coffee, her eyes scanning the room. "I left Walsh's firm because of clients like your father," she said, cutting to the chase. "He paid for special treatment, backdated documents, rushed filings. The trust amendment for your niece? I saw it in July 2024. Walsh was nervous," said William insisted it was urgent for family harmony. I leaned forward, my voice low. "Did he mention me? Why my share was redirected?" Nora nodded, setting her cup down. "William told Walsh you were taken care of, that you didn't need the money. He pushed hard, offered the firm a bonus, $20,000, wired directly. I flagged it as shady, but Walsh ignored me. I quit a month later." My stomach churned.
A bonus for stealing my inheritance? Any proof?
I asked, gripping my pen. "I kept copies," she said, sliding a USB drive across the table. "Emails between Walsh and William, bank transfer confirmations, and notes on the amendment. It's not airtight, but it shows intent." Jenna's eyes lit up as she pocketed the drive. "This is gold, Olivia. We can use it to challenge the amendment. Fraud, undue influence. I'll get it to my contact at a law firm for review." I thanked Nora, my resolve hardening. The USB held a lifeline to reclaim my share, but William's motives, favoring Lily sidelining me, remained murky. I texted Philip, confirming our 6 p.m. meeting at the estate to confront our father. Natalie had dodged my request for documents, her silence deafening. I called her, leaving a voicemail, "Meet us at the estate tonight. Bring anything you have on the trust, or I'm going to the lawyers." At 6 p.m., Philip and I arrived at the estate, its manicured lawns mocking the chaos inside. William was in the study, pouring bourbon, his face set as we entered. Margaret hovered by the bookshelves, her hands twisting a scarf. "Olivia." "Philip," William said, his voice cold, "you're making this harder than it needs to be." I placed the bank records and amendment copy on his desk, my voice steady. "You redirected my inheritance to Lily. Walsh confirmed it, and we have proof, emails, a $20,000 payment to his firm. Why did you do this?" William's eyes narrowed, his glass pausing mid-sip. "I did what was best for the family. Lily's starting college. She needs it. You're fine, Olivia. You've got your job." "My job?" I said, my anger flaring. "Grandfather named me in his will. You had no right to change it." Philip stepped forward, his voice sharp. "You lied to Walsh," said we all agreed. "I didn't, and Olivia didn't. That's fraud." Margaret spoke, her voice trembling. "William, tell them. They deserve to know." William shot her a look, but she pressed on. "It was my idea too." Natalie was struggling. "Lily's tuition, their mortgage. We thought you'd understand, Olivia." I stared at her, betrayal cutting deeper. "You thought I'd understand losing $400,000? Why not ask me?" William set his glass down, his tone sharp. "Because you'd fight it. You're stubborn, always have been. Lily's the future of this family." His words stung, but Natalie's arrival interrupted, her face pale. "Olivia, I didn't want this," she said, clutching a folder. "Here's what I have, bank statements, emails with Dad. I thought it was settled." I grabbed the folder, flipping through it. Emails from William to Natalie, dated June 2024, urged her to support the amendment for Lily's sake, promising to handle Olivia. A bank statement showed the $400,000 transfer to Lily's trust, co-signed by Natalie. "You knew," I said, my voice low. "You helped him." "I was protecting my daughter," Natalie said, tears spilling. "I didn't think it'd hurt you this much." Philip snorted, his hands clenched. "You both planned this, kept us in the dark."
What else are you hiding?
William stood, his voice booming. "Enough. The amendment's legal. Take it up with Walsh if you want, but you'll lose." I held up Nora's USB. "We have proof, your emails, the payment. This isn't over." As we left, another text buzzed from the unknown number. "You'll regret this. Let it go." I showed it to Philip, who cursed under his breath. "Dad," he said. "Or Natalie," I replied, my mind racing. "Or someone else." I forwarded it to Jenna, who was already analyzing the USB. She called at 8 p.m., her voice urgent. "The emails confirm William pressured Walsh, and there's a mention of a family agreement that never happened. We can file a fraud claim, but we need the original will from William's safe." I agreed, planning to meet her law firm contact, Anna Pierce, tomorrow, June 18th. William's control, Natalie's complicity, and the threatening texts pointed to a conspiracy beyond favoritism. Was William hiding a larger scheme? Or protecting someone else? The graduation dinner had sparked this fight, and I'd push harder, through Walsh, Nora, and the law, to uncover the full truth and reclaim my legacy. The law office of Anna Pierce was a sleek, modern space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city on June 18, 2025, the morning light doing little to ease the knot in my stomach. Yesterday's confrontation with William, Natalie, and the damning evidence from Nora's USB, emails and a $20,000 payment tying my father to the fraudulent amendment of my grandfather's trust, had fueled my determination. The threatening texts, the latest urging me to let it go, hinted at desperation, but I was done backing down. With Philip's bank records, Natalie's emails, and Jenna's leads, I was ready to reclaim my stolen inheritance and expose the conspiracy behind Lily's graduation dinner. Anna Pierce, a sharp attorney recommended by Jenna, was my next step, and I'd brought Philip to face William's secrets head-on. Anna, poised behind her desk, reviewed the USB's contents, her eyes narrowing. "This is strong," she said, tapping the emails between William and Walsh. "The payment to Walsh's firm, the amendment bypassing you, and the threatening texts build a case for fraud and coercion. We can file a civil suit against your father and Natalie, and I'll push for a criminal investigation into Walsh." I nodded, my hands steady despite the stakes. "What about the original will? William's got it locked in his safe." "We'll demand it in discovery," Anna said. "If he refuses, we'll get a court order. The bank records and emails are enough to start. We'll freeze Lily's trust account to prevent any transfers." Philip shifted beside me, his voice low. "Will this hurt Lily?" She didn't know. Anna's expression softened. "We'll protect her interests. The suit targets William and Natalie's actions, not her. The court can redirect the funds back to you without disrupting her college plans." I exhaled, relief mixing with resolve. "File it," I said. "I want my share back, and I want them held accountable." By noon, Anna drafted the suit, citing fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and coercion. I called Natalie, giving her one last chance to come clean. She answered, her voice strained. "Olivia, why are you doing this? It's for Lily." "You stole from me," I said, my voice cold. "You and Dad planned it. I've got proof, emails, payments. Meet me at the estate tonight, 7 p.m. Bring the will, or the court's will."
She hung up, Herr sie längse Demming.
Philip and I drove to the estate, Jenna joining us for support. The mansion loomed, its elegance a mockery of the betrayal inside. William was in the dining room, the same table where he'd toasted Lily now bare. Margaret sat nearby, her face pale, while Natalie stood by the window, clutching a folder. Lily was absent, spared the confrontation. "You're relentless," William said, his voice icy as we entered.
"This is family business, Olivia. You're tearing us apart."
"You tore us apart," I said, placing the USB and bank records on the table. You paid Walsh to rewrite the will, gave my share to Lily without my consent.
Why?
Natalie stepped forward, her eyes red. It was my idea, she said, her voice breaking. Lily's tuition was overwhelming. Dad suggested using your share, said you wouldn't miss it. I went along. William's jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. Margaret spoke, her voice trembling. We thought you'd agree, Olivia.
You're so independent.
Lily needed it.
Independent.
I said, my anger flaring. You stole $400,000 from me.
You didst ask, you lied.
Philip slammed his hand on the table. You told me it was legal, Dad. You and Natalie planned this, kept us in the dark. William stood, his voice booming. I did what was best for this family.
ULL lose in court, Olivia.
Walsh followed my orders, and the amendments binding. Jenna pulled out her phone, displaying the threatening texts. These are from you, William, or someone you hired.
Intimidation von Stop US.
The suit's filed, and we're demanding the original will. Natalie sobbed, dropping the folder. I have it, she said, her voice barely audible. The original will, from Dad's safe. I took it last night.
I'm sorry, Olivia.
I grabbed the folder, my hands shaking as I opened it. The 2020 will, signed by my grandfather, named me, Natalie, and Philip as equal heirs. No amendments, no mention of Lily. This proves it, I said, holding it up.
You forget the change. Williams face krumplet, highest authority fading.
I wanted to secure Lily's future, he said. Natalie was struggling. I thought you'd understand.
Understand. Isaid, my voice steady. You betrayed me.
Both of you. Anna filed the suit that afternoon, and by June 20th, a judge froze Lily's trust account, ordering the original will's submission. Walsh, under pressure, admitted to the $20,000 payment, implicating William in a criminal investigation for fraud. Natalie, facing charges, agreed to testify against him, her guilt overwhelming. By July 2025, the court ruled in my favor, restoring my $400,000 share, with damages for emotional distress. Lily's education was protected through a separate fund, ensuring no harm to her.
Williams' Reputation shattered, highest control over the family broken.
Natalie moved away, her relationship with Lily strained but salvageable. Philip and I grew closer, his honesty mending our bond. I used my share to fund a new environmental project, a dream long deferred. The graduation dinner, meant to celebrate Lily, had exposed a theft that tested our family's core. I'd fought for justice, exposing William's scheme and Natalie's complicity, ensuring they faced consequences. As I stood in my new office, sunlight glinting off my desk, I felt not just victory, but peace. My legacy reclaimed, my family redefined, stronger for the truth we'd faced together.